Why are you here today?
Well, we know that it is imperative that every Washingtonian be counted in the census. This is important to follow the Constitution. It's important to make sure that Washington gets its appropriate share of federal funds. It means $4,800 for every family, that if they're undercounted, we don't get those funds for education, for law enforcement, and everything else. So it's imperative that we have a census that is accurate. And unfortunately, we have challenges. The administration has decided to essentially intentionally undercount people, to not count everybody here. They've thrown up roadblocks. So we have had to get together to fashion a program to make sure every Washingtonian is counted. Every Washingtonian deserves to be counted. We're committed to that effort.
It seems as if there are Republicans of goodwill here as well as Democrats. How does it differ on a state stage versus a federal stage?
Well, we need to understand that both Democrats and Republicans and independents, everyone gets to be counted or should be counted regardless of who you are or where you are. And unfortunately, these efforts have diminished the ability of people in rural counties to be counted, people who don't have access to the internet. It reduces the people who live in urban areas not to be counted, who have this question they want to ask that might give people the impression that they shouldn't be counted. So unfortunately, this has been a bipartisan assault on the state of Washington by the administration to not get people counted. And that's why we need to be vigorous on a bipartisan basis to everybody work together to make sure everyone's counted in the U.S. Census.
What are your strategies to overcome this attempt to undercount?
So we have efforts to educate people about how important the census is. We have efforts to educate them about the fact that they have the right to be counted. And we want to make sure that we try to fill in the gaps that the federal government has created in providing those services. Because the administration, unfortunately, has cut the legs out from underneath the ability to educate people in that regard. We're going to try to fill in the slack. We want every Washingtonian counted, and that's both an American and Washingtonian right.
Can you talk a little bit about what Ambassador Locke and the group in there is doing today? Just a brief summary.
So this group has been fashioned to create a Washington state plan to make sure everyone is counted in the census, to make sure the Constitution is followed, to make sure that Washington gets its share of federal benefits. And when we do that, we'll get every Washingtonian counted. That's our goal.
I was thinking we had Governor Locke, who was governor in 2000 during the census. He was the Commerce Secretary in charge of the census in 2010. You couldn't come up with a much better person to help lead this committee.
Well, when we had Governor Locke as our Secretary of Commerce, we didn't need this committee because the federal government did its job. When Governor Locke was Secretary of Commerce, the federal government did its job helping people sign up for the census. Unfortunately, this administration has put roadblocks in the way of people being counted. That's why we have to act on a bipartisan basis, Republicans and Democrats, to make sure everybody gets counted in the state of Washington.
Do you have any confidence in, or do you see efforts among either other governors or Congress itself in modifying because is this set in stone the way they're going to do this?
Well, I know there are many governors who are allied with me to make sure their citizens of their states are counted. So we're not the only state making this effort. But we seek relief in the judicial system to make sure that these roadblocks are not successful. That issue is going to be decided by the courts. But we can't wait for the courts. We need to protect ourselves. I don't have a lot of confidence in Congress handling this because, frankly, they've been sort of a lapdog for the president and have not protected Washington state. I wish I could say we had a Congress that would stand up for this, for everyone to be counted. We don't have that. So we need to be masters of our own destiny. We need to work together to protect our own families and our own state.
In addition to political representation, there's a financial compensation from the federal government. We're talking $4,500, $4,800 per household. Can you just put that in terms that people listening or watching might understand?
Well, we are entitled by law to help from the federal government. We pay our taxes, and we're entitled by law to get services back from the federal government. And we're entitled by law by those services depending on how many people live here. For every household that is undercounted, that is not part of the census, we lose $4,800 that should be coming back of our taxpayer money. That's why it's so outrageous, frankly, that this administration is trying to do an undercount of Washington's residents. So I'm hopeful that we succeed in getting everyone counted. It means $4,800 for every household to make sure those benefits come to our state. Our students deserve it, our senior citizens deserve it, our police departments deserve it, Washingtonians deserve it.